Heyyo, Goat Format players, it's Skill Brown Magician here, and I have a new series for you all. It's top 5 underrated types of cards in Goat Format. So I'm going to start this series off with top 5 underrated traps in Goat Format. These aren't in any particular order, but I will tell you this. The spiciest trap is number 5, so stick around till the end to see that one. But the first one is Skill Drain. And you guys already probably know this card. You just pay 1,000 life points, and the effects of all face-up effect monsters are negated. This is such a powerful card. I mean, just turning off your opponent's flip effect monsters is huge. Everyone's playing Magician of Faith. Everyone's playing Decoichi, right? There's so many cards. Everyone's playing Spy. So what is also nice is it's chainable to summon because it's a trap, and it's also chainable to like an ignition effect, etc. So the best example is they special summon a Chaos Sorcerer, and then they go Prio, target one face-up monster and banish it. But because they did Prio, that means it's Chainlink 1, so you can just go activate Skill Drain, Chainlink 2, pay the 1,000 life points. Now his effect doesn't go through because it resolves backwards, and Skill Drain negates effects before he can banish. So really nice, you can do stuff like that. What's also nice is that recruiters, exiled, and monsters that go to graveyard and have graveyard effects, they work under Skill Drain. So the best example is, we all know, zombies with Skill Drain. That's the classic, right? You go Pyramid Turtle. When it's sent to graveyard by battle, you can special summon out a, Ryukoki, or you could bring out a Vampire Lord. So that's really spicy that in those kinds of decks with recruiters, where it's running a recruiter engine, you can work around it. Exiled, because it tributes and sends itself to graveyard, the effect goes off in grave, so that also works. What's also great about Skill Drain, it counters Thousand Eyes Restrict, and basically it just blocks Goat control, right? Because it makes it so that they can't take any of your monsters. And it allows you to attack over it. Also, Skill Drain is nice because most people play MST, Heavy Storm, and Breaker as their outs for spell and trap removal. And Skill Drain actually blocks one of those outs because now when you bring out Breaker, he can't use his effect to get the token and, to pop a back row. So that's really nice. Some of the downsides, obviously, there's an activation cost. You have to pay 1,000 life points. So you have to make sure you have 1,000 life points. It's a continuous trap, which makes it vulnerable because it's sticking around on the field, right? So you have to protect it or have, multiple copies of it. And then lastly, it can be played around if your opponent plays Book of Moon, Enemy Controller, and cards like that. The reason that this works, I'm going to hopefully be teaching you guys something spicy here, is that let's say you flip Magician of Faith while your opponent has Skill Drain active. Skill Drain's effect, all it says, is it just says the effects of all face-up effect monsters are negated. So if you flip up Magician of Faith and then you chain your own Book of Moon to flip it back face down, its effect is going to go off while it's face down on the field. So it allows you to grab your spell card back from graveyard. So it's super spicy. You can also use Enemy Controller to tribute off the card to take control of one of your opponent's monsters. And because you tributed off your monster, now it's like Exiled Force, and it's activating in graveyard. So that's something interesting and a workaround for Skill Drain. All right, the next card is really underrated. I think Dust Tornado is so good. When I first started playing Goat format, this card was so nasty. You target a spell or trap card your opponent controls. Destroy that target. Then, you can set a spell or trap card from your hand. This is the best part. You activate this in end phase. You pop their back row that they just set. They have no way of activating it. So it's almost like you're getting like plus 0.5 off of this because your opponent can't activate the card in response. So you're really going, it's 1-for-1, but it's nice because they can't activate the card in response. And in addition to that, the second effect is even more busted because it allows you to set either a spell or a trap from your hand. what you can do is you can really abuse this because you can use it to set your power traps, and it makes it so much safer because you just set Dust Tornado, clear out their back row, which is beneficial, and then it allows you to instantly set in their end phase a Solemn, Return, Torrential Tribute, Book of Moon, whatever it is. And you set it in their end phase so that boom, it's your turn, and now you can activate it because it's been set for a turn. So that's really nice. Also, Dust Tornado, it outs Royal Decree because if they activate Royal Decree, you can chain it to pop Decree, and then, like I said, use the second effect. Always use the second effect with Dust Tornado if you can. It's even nice to set bluffs. Dust Tornado, it's ideal for aggro strategies. This is what I mentioned earlier. I played this when I first started playing GOAT. I really love to play like Bazoo return decks, so I would always play Dust Tornado. So it was a safe way of clearing their back row and an even safer way of setting my returns and guaranteeing that they were going to go off. So I really like Dust Tornado. Some people, they just say it's a slower MST, but think about all the benefits, right? Going 1-for-1, and they can't chain it. So that's really nice. And yeah, the second effect makes it even better. All right, number 3, man, I'm really excited. This card, it's an OG card, 7 Tools of the Bandit. Pay 1,000 of your life points to negate the activation of a trap card and destroy it. I love the artwork on this card. It's just such an old school card. The Swiss Army knife with the skull and crossbones. It's just a classic card. And you guys, it's a counter trap. Man, when I first started playing Yu-Gi-Oh, I got the counter trap fairy structure deck, and I've been in love with counter traps ever since. The big thing about counter traps is that they're spell speed 3. That means they can only respond with other counter traps. And think about this, if they activate Solemn Judgment, you can chain 7 tools because it's also a counter trap, spell speed 3, and you negate their Solemn Judgment, but the cost still goes through. So if you negate their Solemn Judgment with 7 tools, they still have to pay half their life points, and you only paid 1,000 life points. Think about this. 7 tools, it will usually be used as Chain Link 3. Think about this. You activate Pot of Greed. They activate Solemn Judgment. Then you go 7 Tools of the Bandit, unless they have another Solemn Judgment set. Or if for whatever reason they're playing 7 tools, they will not be able to negate your 7 tools. This means that reverse the chain. 7 tools resolves, negating their Solemn, and then your primary effect, Chain Link 1, that Pot of Greed, it goes through. So they paid half their life points, and then your effect, it still goes through. You negate their Solemn, they pay half their life points, and your original trap, spell, monster effect goes off. That's so good. That's so good. The only problem, it can only stop traps. Right? It can only stop traps. It's not like Solemn Judgment where it covers all 3. Also, you have to be able to pay 1,000 life points at all times for you to be able to use this card. It's really nice to go into this during the sideboard if you know your opponent's playing Solemn Judgment. This is just such a good card. I really like 7 tools, and it's just one of the OG cards, so it makes it nice. This also goes back to when I first started playing GOAT format. I love this card. Compulsory Evacuation device. You target a monster on the field, and you just return that target to the hand. You bounce it. I love the artwork. It's fitting, right? They're making their exit. And what makes this card so good is it is guaranteed monster removal because Compulse can remove set monsters. It does not say whether it needs to be face up or face down. So you can just bounce their set monsters, bounce their face up monsters. It's either or. It can be used not just offensively to bounce your opponent's monsters, but you can use it defensively. Because let's say you have your Cyberjar set and your opponent, they activate Knock. You can chain Compulsory to bounce your Cyberjar back to hand, Chain Link 2, get it out of there before Knock can resolve. Really nice that you can use it both offensively to remove their monsters and both defensively to protect your set monsters. Really nice. Also, you could use it if they're trying to snatch steal something, right? That's also a useful way. So many things you can do with it. What's also nice, they normal summon and then you just bounce it back to their hand. You basically just they wasted their summon for the turn. So it kind of slows them down and it clears the field. Also, it blocks Thousand Eyes Restrict because they special summon it and then you just bounce it back to the extra deck. Now it can't equip your monster. Even better, if they use MST, Heavy Storm, it's chainable monster removal. If they have a monster out, it's getting bounced back to hand. The fact that it's chainable is so nice. It's not like Saku where they have to attack in order for you to activate it. So I really like that. It works around Nobleman of Extermination too. If you're able to pop it off, you can even knock back your own monster. It doesn't even have to be an opponent's monster. Really nice effect. And it also avoids graveyard effects because it just sends it back to hand. So it kind of is very interesting. It kind of works around a lot of cards. The one issue, people say it just doesn't deal with the targeted monster. Sure, it bounces it back to hand, but what? They just bring it out next turn? Yeah, that is true, but it just depends what you're playing this in. It depends on the strategy, and that's why I like it in aggressive decks, aggro decks, because you're just clearing their field, you're dropping their life points, you want to kill them. And the thing is, it's kind of like a better version of knock, because it guarantees their monsters getting off the field. It doesn't matter if it's face up or face down. All right, number 5. This one might be a little bit of a one-off, but I thought this card was so spicy. I love the name. It's Desert Sunlight. If you haven't heard of it or this effect, all monsters on your side of the field are changed to face-up defense position. So there's so many things that it can do. It's kind of like Compulse in the sense that it can protect your set monsters from knock, right? You have that set Cyberjar, they go into their main phase 1, activate Nobleman, and then you just chain Desert Sunlight, and then you can flip it. Protects your set monsters. It can trigger flip effects in the end phase. And then they can be reused next turn if you have Sook or Book of Moon in hand. So think about this. It's kind of like Dust Tornado in the sense that you activate it in the end phase. And if you have two of these, either one of these two cards, a Tsukiyomi or a Book of Moon, it allows you to double use whatever that flip effect is. So imagine you have Magician of Faith. They don't have anything. They don't attack into it, right? Let's say it's turn 1. You set Magician of Faith. Turn 2, they have set monster, and then in their end phase you activate Desert Sunlight, flip Magician of Faith, get back a spell, and then you go into your turn, summon Tsukiyomi to flip your Moth face down, and then flip it back face up. You can shotgun Magician of Faith, potentially using Pot of Greed 2 times in a row. That's crazy. Drawing 4 cards. Dekoichi becomes Pot of Greed. Same thing. You activate it in end phase, flip Dekoichi, draw a card. Guess what? If you have Sook or Book of Moon, activate it again, draw another card when you flip him again. So nice. I think this card is super spicy. It's really cool, and there's even some other things that I really like about it. It changes all of your monsters to face-up defense. So let's say you were going in with your Gravekeeper Spies. You put them in attack. You wanted to poke at them with that 1200, that nasty 1200. And then your opponent, they're going to clear your Gravekeeper Spies, but then you chain Desert Sunlight when they attack in, and now they're attacking into a 2k defense wall again. And it changes all of your Gravekeeper Spies to face-up defense. That's so nice. You can combine this with Book of Moon just for nastiness. I mean, I think something really funny is Penguin Soldier with Desert Sunlight because it allows you to just activate it before he gets attacked. So you can bounce himself back and one of your opponent's monsters. And then if you have Book of Moon, it just makes all these funny, crazy plays with Desert Sunlight. And something else, if you go into the sideboard, you know your opponent's playing Mind Control, you know they're going to be cheeky and they're going to side in Mind Control, you can chain this to Mind Control. They activate mind control. It's just like knock. You chain it, chain link 2. Now they can't use it because you flipped it on your field and now they just get nothing. So that's super nice. Man, I hope you guys like these underrated cards. Let me know what you guys think are underrated cards. I would really like to know. And I'm always looking to expand my Yu-Gi-Oh library and knowing what cards are available in GOAT format. Hopefully I got to show you some spicy ones and cards that maybe you haven't considered. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll be showing the top 5 underrated spell cards next. All right, take care, guys. Peace.